Welcome back to MyPokéStory, a podcast-like series where I share my experiences with Pokemon as a whole, ranging from the origins of my journey all the way to present day. In our first episode, we explored my origins of my journey, how it started all together. In today's episode, I will talk about my experiences with Pokemon Sword and Shield and the start of my YouTube channel. These events aren't things that didn't really occur in respective order, as there are points where I found more meaningful in Sword and Shield even after I made my YouTube channel. The object of our episode, well, it is Cinderace, even though it's not really an object, more of a character or picture. But we'll see that despite this, it actually will have a crucial part in today's episode. So why don't we begin with Sword and Shield, because that's where it really started, like the whole, just the entire thing. I first acquired it by getting the double pack offer from GameStop. I took Sword, and my brother took Shield, because I like swords. They're awesome. When I started the game, I was intrigued that the game had actual cutscenes, but no voice acting, which I know plagues the Pokemon community as of now. It felt kind of weird seeing someone, like, moving and everything, and seeing the animated cutscenes just like, well, who's talking? It was weird. When I came to the point when I had to choose a starter, I wasn't really sure who to pick, even with the whole turn and everything, given all that time to decide, like, who should I pick? I genuinely did not have a decision, so I did what I do best, and default for the fire starter, because I'm a fire type trainer, what can I say? Admittedly, I did take a small appealing to Score Bunny at that time, and when it evolved to Raboot, I admit, I wasn't a huge fan of that design. I thought it was a little off. And continuing with the game, I know a lot of people bash on it for how easy it is. I thought it was just fine. Difficulty curve was just okay. And I also thought that the story was pretty good. Probably one of the best, maybe my favorite, dare I say. And I really thought it was Oleana that would be the main villain of that thing. The character design was just like, oh boy, that screams evil. And even the post-game of that game, was something I did enjoy. And if I had to give a rating, I'd give it a pretty solid 9 out of 10. I just wish there was more areas like the wild area. And let's see, staying on the topic of that game, let's cover the last of the Scorbunny evolutions, because I intentionally skipped over that. This is where the emphasis of our, picture of the day. This is where it all begins. I initially saw the Cinderace design out. I admit, I wasn't the biggest fan at first glance. I was like, that's interesting. That was my actual reaction, okay? But after seeing the Pyro Ball animation and, like, all the things you can do in the Pokemon camp, I was like, okay, yeah, you know what? I have a small appreciation for this Pokemon, but I wasn't the biggest fan. I was just a small fan, because at that point, Litten was still my favorite. He was my favorite for the longest time, and in terms of many Pokemon species, he's my second favorite, and most likely will remain that way. And there's more I could say on Cinderace as my favorite, but I'm going to stay in chronological order here. After a few months of Sword and Shield, skip to around, February, I think? No, it wasn't February. It was March. It was late March of 2020, and I don't think I need to go really in depth of what happened around this time, so I'll just stop there. What happened is, at that point, I lost my ability to see a lot of my friends, because almost every day, I was able to go out, do something with them, whether it be in school or just some activity, extracurricular activity. It was just something I lost, and I became super bored. So here's where we begin the journey of the YouTube channel. And it went through many phases, but let's start with how it all began. At this point, I was really into playing Pokemon TCG, and I was playing out all the events that occurred before, what happened. I was really enjoying it, and that whatever hit, that took it all away. So, pretty disappointing. And I also watch a lot of YouTube, mainly watching Leon Hart, Real Breaking Nate, and Jordan Fringe. They were my go-tos for Pokemon card openings. And one day I decided, how about I give it a shot? I did a test video on a social media platform where to share with my friends and family. I grabbed a large Umbreon and Espeon box that closed out the Sun and Moon TCG area. Did a test video on that. Oh goodness, it was so bad. I don't want to find it and re-upload it to YouTube because it's, it's so bad. It's so bad. I cringe at it so hard. Oh man, I won't go too in detail on that. So what I did, I grabbed my phone, used a terrible phone stand, and filmed it. That's how bad I think it was, because it was so bad. Oh man. Let's skip ahead. I think a few weeks later, the Rebel Clash set just came out, and I grabbed a booster box and an ETB shortly after initial release date, probably like 1 or 2 days after. And at the moment I got home, I made my first studio setup, which it looks pretty similar to what you see now, but I switched up the ETBs in the background so here and there, and I filmed my first video for YouTube. And you know what? It was cringe. It was as bad as that very first one I made, though. And it was genuinely a good time. What I wanted to do is make something that wasn't really too budget, which is basically one single cut video with no music, no text, whatever. So in that first video, I put everything I was able to in that first video, and it did quite all right. I gained 20 subs within that first outing. And what was that channel name? Well, if you're an OG member, you already know. But to those who are newer, the oldest channel name I had was named Litton TCG Gamer, which I admit was probably not the most creative name. And during that time where I was just making YouTube for pure hobby, it was a good time. Made lots of videos, got minimal views, which is fine. I don't really expect this channel to do great. It's just a hobby. I got small accelerations of subs almost every day, 1, 2. I was actually doing something. I even got to do a lot of pack battles with other small name Pokemon tubers. PokeTubers, wow. All those videos are saved in an archive now within my playlist, so you can check those out if you want. They can't be viewed normally by scrolling down the video section, and they are unlisted, so you'll have to go into the playlist. You'll be able to watch them there. It'll be interesting if I see some of you comment on those, saying that, hey, I heard this podcast episode and decided to check these out. Oh man, that'll be interesting. After some time, I think it was about literally a couple months after I started, I thought the name Litton TCG Gamer was boring, and I needed a change of name to compensate what I thought was pretty boring, in an attempt to make it more interesting. So I renamed it to Fiery Litton Gamer, which, yes, has a bit more flair and switching out TCG with Fiery, but in hindsight, I don't think that was a great name change. It's still kind of generic. And during that renaming, I had to make a lot of changes to my channel. I had to remove a few videos, had to port everything, or as much as I can, over to a new channel because I had some things that were going wrong. It wasn't anything bad or anything. It was just crazy, okay? Now, before I rebranded to what I am now, which I'll get in depth after this is where I decided that Cinderace was my favorite Pokemon of all time. How it all began was during a time when I had to move house. And it was a pretty big move. We're talking 10, 11 hours away from where I used to live. Meaning that I had to pretty much start over in terms of my in-person connections. I wasn't able to see the majority of my friends in person anymore, which it gets pretty lonely. I'm pretty sure for those who have done a move like that, it is a bit difficult. At this point, the Journeys anime was going on, and I really enjoy that series. It is very good, even to the Japanese version right now. I'm getting off topic here. We'll cover the Japanese stuff in another episode. When episode 45 aired, which I believe was the episode where I think it was part 2 of The Darkest Day. I don't know, you can correct me in the comments. When Cinderace, when Reboot started to have that evolve reaction, I'm like, oh boy, here we go. What's he gonna sound like? I'm pretty sure when we see Pokemon in the anime, we wonder, what's their voice like? It's a weird thought. Do any of you wonder that? I don't know. You can let me know. I genuinely wonder what he would sound like. Would he say his name like he did with the previous evolutions, or would he sound like something different? Because some Pokemon do that, some don't. I don't really have a problem. I'm just curious. And when he evolved, that voice, that first roar, if you will, I'm like, ooh, I kinda like it. And the Powerball animation in there, I'm like, oh, that's pretty sleek animation. Like, I like the animation, okay? It's good. And after, this is where it gets a little embarrassing, but it has good purpose, a good reason. When he gave Go a hug, he just like jumped into the sea. It's like, we did it, friend, we did it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that was pretty wholesome. And instantaneously, I mean, if I had to make a top 10 list, I would. And at this point, he came top 3. It's like almost instantly. Because like, this is a Pokemon I could definitely vibe with. But it wasn't until episode 48, which I know doesn't resonate well with some people because it's literally all filler. But in my opinion, it was one of my favorites because I got to see more of Cinderace's personality burst forth. And I loved it. And that helped settle him as my favorite Pokemon of all time. This came to be by seeing him as a friend who's willing to support you, which is a quality we want in our actual friends. And you gotta admit, the design, come on, it's just rad. Though honestly, my love for this character did come with some natural consequences. Main one being some names I'd rather not be called. And I was also bullied for it for some time because that same love. You know what? As a kid, I was bullied a lot. So nothing to do but embrace the things you like and be loud and proud about it. And you deflect that bullying with positivity, saying, like someone says, like, oh, you love Cinderace or you love him. Like, you know what? I do. Nothing you can say is going to change it. Someone's going to say something like, oh, wow, look at you, you little, whatever you want to call it. You just say like, oh, thanks. Be positive about it. Bullies will just go away if you do that. Now, I'm pretty sure some of you are going to wonder, does your Cinderace have a nickname? You know what? They do. My regular one is named Yukio, and yes, I have a shiny one in my sword game as well. The shiny one is named Kota. Both of them are Japanese originated names that generally mean happiness and good fortune. Plus, I think they're really nice sounding names. So, going from here, this is where, well, okay, maybe I defeated the purpose of chronological order, but somewhere in between, this is where I decided to rename my channel to Cinderlitten because I wanted my channel name to include my favorite Pokemon of all time. And with the help of some members of my community, they helped me settle on that name. And I am really grateful for that. It's something the YouTube thing is something I generally do enjoy and do want to see flourish because it's really fun. I really enjoy connecting with other members of the Pokemon community from literally all over the globe. It's insane. It brings a lot of joy to see that there are other people in the world that enjoy the same things you do. And that's something that means a lot. Because I'm pretty sure when we meet friends, we normally do things that we enjoy together. And that's how you connect, through the things you like. That's the things that just makes this community awesome. I'm not the best at explaining, but just being able to connect with everyone really just it's awesome, okay? I don't really know how to explain it that much further or in depth. And staying on the YouTube topic, thumbnails, they were really, really low effort back then. What I did is literally take a picture of what I was doing and slap text on it. Post this thumbnail, done deal. Looking back on it, that was probably not the smartest idea. That's just my opinion. I thought it doesn't work. If you think it works, nice. I'm genuinely happy for you, but I personally don't think it's a good thing. Or in my opinion, it's because it's kind of, how I see it is, person looks at the thumbnail, it's like, okay, I know what you're doing, and I know what the text is trying to convey, but it looks like it could be boring. Like, I don't want to make my YouTube channel like seem like the most budget thing, because what I use to make my videos is my phone, iMovie, and some of the Windows Video Editor, which is budget as you can get. But I have to, in order to make my videos interesting, or at least good, I literally have to overwork my iMovie in order to actually get those videos to look good. And I have an older iPhone, meaning that it's not exactly the best. And I have to literally push the iMovie, because when I export videos, sometimes it legit crashes. Like, my iPhone will crash, and I have to shut off my phone in order to get the video to export, therefore upload to YouTube. It is a bit tedious, but you know what? In the end, it's all worth it. It is all worth it. It's still fun. Nothing about it has said to me, oh my gosh, this is so bad. But how that really all plays in the end is that it does affect, well, because I'm always fairly busy, you could say, with other things like school, life, work, whatever you want to call it. It really does affect my upload schedule. It is pretty staggered. Like, even back then, it was pretty staggered. I tried making it fixed, but that really just added stress that I didn't really need. So to this day, I just stick with whenever I can. Like, whether it be life, school, work, again, with all of that. Yeah, that's pretty much history of my YouTube channel, and something I will continue to see through until I decide, yeah, that's it. If I don't enjoy it anymore, most likely just dropping it. But that's really all I have to say on this episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. From this point on, all the events I will talk about are also staggered in chronological order. So we're just going to tackle each topic one at a time of how each particular event started. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next episode of MyPokéStory. Take care.